where I came from, I didn't think real estate would ever be that powerful. And it's just like, holy shit, I just figured something out.
Welcome. This is the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping others through real estate investing. Our hosts interview guests from all aspects of real estate investing who generously share valuable experiences and advice. Whether you're starting out or an experienced investor, this is the show for you.
All right, hello, and how's it going today? My name is Travis Shelton, and welcome to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we interview guests who want to help others investing in real estate. We keep these podcasts jam-packed full of content in around 15 minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Looking forward to a great discussion with an amazing dude I know. His name's Drew Hittner. It's a pleasure to introduce the greatest house hacker on the planet and Airbnb lender. Drew, buddy, thanks for joining us today. Welcome.
Travis, thank you for the introduction, man. I'm ready to spill the beans on what's got me to, a fire or financial independence here in just a short 4.5 years, man. So whatever I can do to help educate the audience, I'm stoked.
That's awesome, man. Well, give our audience a little bit more about yourself, maybe a little bit about your background, where you're from, and maybe how you got involved in real estate.
Yeah, so my background is I'm originally from Indiana, Southern Indiana, small town. Been in Arizona for about 11 years, but kind of been back and forth. But I got into real estate because I was in an uncomfortable position in my life where I was working in a medical device field, and we had got acquired. My pay got cut in half, and at that point, I had to make a decision. And decisions on the table were call mom, ask for help. Didn't want to do that. Grab some money in my 401 or my IRA. Didn't think that was the best route. You would probably agree. Then I just went to Google and just looked up side gig income. And this was back in 2016 when this happened. And those results, I only remember two things that popped up on the results. It was Uber and Airbnb. So I had a girlfriend at the time. What I did was I'm moving in with you. I'm putting this on Airbnb. I was literally the only listing on the map in my hometown, Evansville, Indiana.
Well, you really saturated the market with one listing,
And I had gotten pre-approved for a house, but kind of just kicked the bucket. I was a terrible first-time home buyer up until this point. And then, there was a concert coming up the next weekend, and the apartment was nice, but it's I left all my clothes in one of the closets and hope they don't steal all the stuff in my fridge. I didn't really throw everything away. And it was the bare bones, literally how Airbnb started. And now it's transformed into some, amazing company that it is. But, I went and stayed one weekend with my girlfriend, and it paid me $300 or $400. I just couldn't believe it. And I'm that's half my rent. And did it one more, and boom, now my rent's paid for. I'm this is insane. And so at that time I did that in 2016. There was no rental arbitrage. Nobody coined that phrase, really, right? There was no house hacking. I think those key or coined phrases is kind of the millennial in us coming out, and people can't wait to come up with an acronym or something. But house hacker, and so that's when that was my light bulb moment. And then so what did I do? I got right into lending and shifted careers, and now I don't qualify for a mortgage for 2 years. So fast forward. So then fast forward a couple of years, I finally buy my first house, but only because I couldn't get qualified at that time.
Man, what a great story, and how quick, 4.5 years. I think that's what we talked a little bit before we hit the record button, that's an amazing trajectory for a lot of people. And, people work 40 years to maybe retire with enough retirement funds, and you were able to do it in 4.5 years, really from, what you say, self-imposed, that from nothing, right? And you've just been grit and grind and finding your way throughout the whole way. That's crazy. I never heard your Google story. So that's a cool one that, just makes me respect you that much more, man. So we always start off these interviews with some motivation. Not that we need any more motivation after hearing how you got started, but Drew, what's your favorite inspirational or motivational quote that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, so it's more of a video. I guess I'm kind of in the age where videos are big, but it's a big quote, right?
Okay.
If it's Steve Harvey jump, and
Okay.
so it's it's probably something that'd be best if you YouTubed. You could probably find it on TikTok, Instagram, but it's basically where it's somebody that's a 9 to 5er, your typical let's retire at 60, but then just one day you're like, man, this really isn't for me, and I'm gonna kind of condense his quote down, but it's for everybody that has always had a friend or looked up to somebody that's like really crushing it, has their own company, and like how did they get there? And it's almost like you're so excited for them, but you don't know what path to follow. And Steve just makes it so relatable. And he's literally talking about landscapers. He's talking about car repair shops, and it's just like those aren't the sexiest businesses on earth, but you just got to jump. You just got to do it. And whatever business you're working in now, you can probably start a company around your profession that you're in right now. And that's his focus.
I want to transition to really our main topic today and the reason you're on the show. So Drew, how can you help our audience of real estate investors? What's really that one thing that you want to share with our audience, to get them motivated, to get them going as real estate investors?
I mean, it's pretty simple. I feel like everybody can find a reason why they shouldn't be able to do something, and you can always set yourself up to fail. And, I just like being relatable, right? And I didn't come from anything other than, a family with some grit who had to find everything that they got by, like what Tiger Woods is by digging it in the dirt, right? You got to find it. We're lucky to live in a place where we do, America. And, typically when you make that jump, right, failing forward typically means success, right? So you might not have got where you wanted to go as soon as you wanted to get there, but it's still success, right? It's still your learning. And that's the main thing. It's like everybody is a fly on the wall watching everything happen around them. Just get on the freeway, jump in, do something that you've ran the numbers on over and over and over again. And maybe it's not a home run, maybe it's just a base hit, but anything's better than sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, take action. You learn so much by taking action. I love that. And I think we have kind of a similar kind of coming from nothing kind of story. I think you've surpassed me with the financial freedom quickness. I'm always on your coattails.
You got a bigger family.
Financial freedom.
You got a bigger family than me, man.
I do indeed. And by the way, congrats. One thing we didn't talk about, Drew, is he's newly engaged and he's got baby number 1 on the way. So huge congrats, baby girl dad. Dude, girls are the best.
Thanks, man. I'm super excited. You were one of the first people to send me a text about that. So
yeah.
We just felt her moving in mom's stomach last night. So it's
so
happy
cool.
days here.
So blessed, man. Well, congrats and health and happiness to you and your fiance and baby girl. And so let's not focus too much on the family. We'll get back into the real estate investing. But what's been your biggest breakthrough that you've had so far, Drew?
It's a great question, man. I think my biggest breakthrough today is just learning about myself, right? And so once I pick a path that I wanted to go, it's really self-reflecting, taking personality assessments, learning how I can work with others, and just because when I first took that jump, I would just get so frustrated, so angry, and I'm like, I just had to self-reflect. Who wants to work with me? And now that I understand myself, it helps me understand how to communicate with my team members. That could be contractors, cleaners, virtual assistants, my family, like literally anything. And that's been my biggest breakthrough because I feel like us as entrepreneurs, we always think we're right. And I think if we just take a step back and just truly listen to others instead of talking over others, that's been like a mental breakthrough that I've had that I think has just been great for, mind wealth as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just hear that you've continued to self-develop yourself, and I go back to that, that saying that says, a formal education will make you a living and self-education will make you a fortune. And that's what I see yourself doing. You know, you just keep self-educating yourself, self-developing yourself, and just keep hitting new levels and new heights that probably you didn't think were really reasonable. Yeah, it's not set up. Our educational system isn't set up for entrepreneurs per se, you know, or business owners. So how did you get started from real estate? How did you go from 6 years of community college associate's degree to real estate investing? Was it that Airbnb or what kind of led you, other than maybe the Google story, what led you to that?
Yeah, so that was like I said, I didn't realize I wouldn't even have called it real estate then, right? I just would have called it subleasing. I think that was just the word that I'm like, well, let me make sure I'm not going to go to jail for this. But once I figured that out, I just knew, I'm like, dang, I could do the same thing. I could buy a duplex. And then, you know, at that time I moved back to Phoenix for the second time. Like I got to buy a house. I got to buy a house. And so at that point, I kind of called it the duplex model because I didn't really want to live in a duplex because like typically the small multifamily just isn't in a good neighborhood. So I'm like, I'm going to put a twist on it. I'm going to buy as much house as I can in the nicest neighborhood that I can afford. And it's going to have a detached guest house. And then I'm going to rent that, have a roommate with me in the main house, and never pay a mortgage. That was kind of like the goal. And it honestly surpassed what I expected. And there wasn't Air DNA at that time. You didn't really know what to expect. And so, like, again, I just took a jump and it worked out. And to this day, I still haven't made a mortgage payment on that house that I closed on in January 19 or December 18. I don't remember which month. But, you know, bought it for $470, put 5% down, and just did a cash out refinance a few months ago. It appraised at $805,000, pulled out $200,000. So not only was it cash flowing, right, but then I paid myself back. And, you know, coming from a place where I came from, I didn't think real estate would ever be that powerful. And it's just like, oh my goodness, I'm like, holy shit, what did I just figured something out. But, you know, you got to try things, you got to do things to get lucky. And there's always going to be people saying like, oh, well, you just bought at the right time. But yeah, but appreciation.
At some point, right?
Yeah, that was nothing I was ever going to.
There were just as many people saying the market's too hot and it's going to come down, crashing down at the same time you bought then, you know, it's like, we have some of the same friends that still don't buy homes, you know, and it's never the right time for some people. And then for people like yourself, it's never the wrong time if it's the right deal, right?
100%. Yeah, I didn't want to pay rent anymore. Once I got a taste of that, I just like, I'm going to buy a house, someone's going to pay it, and then maybe it'll appreciate 50 grand, like maybe. But yeah, that was the plan.
Dude, I'd love to see the numbers on that. Infinity return, never paid a mortgage, put 5% down, pulled out $200,000. That's those are some pretty good returns right there on your first property in Phoenix. If one of our audience members doesn't know the term house hack or maybe wants to start doing it, what advice might you give those people?
It comes down to a lifestyle change, right? So like there's so many of us that want to live this lifestyle that just puts a stress on our bank account. And, you know, if you were to sacrifice, you know, your lifestyle for 1 year, maybe 2 years, that could set you up for the lifestyle you want your entire life, right? You just got to get past the point of caring of what other people think. And so if you want to, you know, my first thought is like, if this is something you want to do, well, just see if you really need it. Wake up every morning, look at your checking account on your phone, like literally pull that up. And then like, what's your check? If you start doing that every day, is what's happening? Are you living check to check? Are you sick of living check to check? Does that put a knot in your stomach? If it does, that's stuff I can help you with, get pre-approved. A lot of times you can buy these houses with 0% out of pocket, especially in a market like today. Sellers will do anything to accept an offer from anyone. So just get started. And it's not a big risk. You can always people always need a place to put their head with a roof over their head.
Yeah, I love it. And I like how you really had two different ways of doing it, right? You had the roommate situation, which I've done too. My first house was a 6-bedroom, 4.5 bath house for a single dude right out of pharmacy school, right? And I rented out rooms to not pay a mortgage or to decrease my mortgage a ton. But I love the casita too. So it was really two. It was like you were getting rent and you're also short-term renting it. So it was really like putting two, you know, ways of earning income together, which I really loved. And I hadn't really heard of, you know, casitas are expensive, especially in the Phoenix metro area. So I really liked your plan of how you went ahead and you went with kind of that biggest house you could do, because not a lot of people do that, right? But it also helped with that appreciation in the long term, that it really paid huge dividends to be able to do it. And yeah, man, I love your stories.
Hi, my name is Chris Hallam of Simplicity Lending Group and powered by Nexa Mortgage. I'm a trusted and experienced loan officer who will work with you to find the best mortgage options for your needs. From first-time homebuyers to experienced investors, I have a wide variety of loan options and competitive rates, which makes me the perfect choice for those who are in need of creative financing. Contact me today and take the first step towards financial stability.
All right, Drew, now I'm going to throw you in the hot seat. We ask all our guests 4 final hot questions to help our audience through real estate investing. So number 1, what is the number 1 book you'd recommend to someone wanting to know more about real estate investing?
I like things that make me excited. So I thought Set for Life by Scott Trench is something that just gets me pumped up. Like, it's just like it's quick little stories, quick little successes at the end, and that got me going. It's a Bigger Pockets publishing book.
So Drew, what is your favorite productivity tip or trick? Maybe an app or some sort of time saver that you can share with our audience?
Doing a time study. So it is something I literally printed out. It's not an app. It's just pencil on paper. And starting from whenever I brush my teeth in the morning to when I put my head on a pillow, I write down what I'm doing every 15 minutes because, you know, I have 2 companies, so to speak, and I'm self-employed, right? I did have 2 companies and a job about 9 months ago just because I was trying something that didn't work out. And what it does is you figure out, over 2 weeks, you write all this stuff down and then you categorize it into like a delegation blueprint. And so you just write all these things down and then you put on a scale of 1, 2, or 3, 1 being you have to do it. You're the only one that can do it. 2 is like you're okay doing it, but somebody could do it. And then 3 is like you hate doing it. And most of that stuff's going to be 2 or 3. And so once you write all that stuff down, after you do the 2-week study, that's where the study's where you get your information. Then you start going, where can I hire for this? Can I hire for that? Who can do this? Who can help me here? I got to do this. And it just makes so much clarity for any kind of time-saving efforts that I want to do going forward. And I got a family coming up. So that's been one of the biggest hacks that I found that has been very, very helpful to me. It's hard to do, but once you get to the end, you're like, man, maybe I should do one more week because it becomes a great habit.
So what's your biggest real estate mistake or failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
It could be, I could funnel this down into one, but just trusting a property manager. But also, I don't know if it's really a property manager's fault because I probably didn't buy the asset class that I really wanted. It was probably a C property trending towards a D. Couldn't really find any good property managers, but then just let somebody take over it. And the property just got worse and worse. Every time I go back, it was just, I didn't like that I wasn't able to control some of the things, like eviction here, eviction there. Just your prototypical, looks great on a spreadsheet, ended up being a mistake for me. I got some home runs, but I definitely got some hit by pitches as well. And I'm okay to talk about that because being vulnerable, sharing that stuff is like how other people learn. And I just would have did it differently, you know, and it changed I have 2 more short-term rentals that would have been long-term rentals because of how painful that experience was. It's just like, dude, how do I owe you money? We're bringing in $2,000 a month. The mortgage payment's like $400. Where's this going? And so you know, I could obviously peel that back and unpack that a lot more, but that's just like, you know, it's just like now I'm arguing with my manager all the time. It's just like I just should have did a short-term vacation rental or should have allocated those months for that property to something else. So,
well, we learn the most through our failures, you know, and I think we need to talk more about some of these little trials and tribulations more so that people realize it's normal, you know, like you make a mistake. It's like, hey, pick yourself up, dust yourself off and move forward. But too often we're sitting there dwelling on that mistake instead of just moving forward. And I love that you're always moving forward, man. You're always taking one step back or forward. Even if you got to take a step back, you're going to take two forward. So if you could be remembered for one thing, Drew, what would it be?
Man, just that I'm a team player, and I just really, really enjoy the ones around me, closest to me, having a light bulb moment about anything. Just whenever I see a moment where they get it or they're taking action, like, it just feels good, man. It's just like, I've always been somebody that played sports growing up, and even if I'm not the one making the winning play, it just feels good whenever you're part of a team and somebody else does that. So that's, just to be somebody that cares more about than just themselves, in a way that I can share happiness through other people's success. So
that's awesome, man. And what we're all about, right? Helping others. And I think then you seeing their fruits of their labor. I'm the same. When I see someone else achieve something, I'm more happy for them than if I achieved it myself. So we definitely share that trait. I just want to thank you again so much for joining me today. It was really a pleasure. It was fun. I learned some new things I didn't know about you, buddy. And we'll have to get out there on the golf course here soon. Really enjoyed all the information you shared today regarding house hacking, how you can get started, how you kind of discovered Airbnb arbitrage or subleasing to where you are today. And man, I'm super proud of you. You're someone I look up to personally, just for all that you've done and how you just continue to grind and move forward and always coming up with new ideas and thoughts on how to improve. And I want to thank all our listeners for listening in today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know Drew shared some valuable expertise and insight that should definitely help you in your real estate investing journey. And peace.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Hot Real Estate Investing Podcast. Check out our website, hotrei.com, for additional content and resources. And please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review so we can continue to bring even more value to others through real estate investing.